What a warm, welcoming nature, making visitors feel at home.
Rwanda's history is marked by both tragic events and remarkable resilience.
Just look at the 9th time get their president. See how this man turned Rwanda to the Dubai.
In Africa, one of the nicely developing, rising champions powers in Africa. We are talking about Rwanda. Rwanda having suffered some internal disputes, some homicide or genocide they call it, some kind of disturbances, instabilities for some years past. Today, Rwanda stands tall. Rwanda stands beautiful. That's currently one of the most beautiful countries to visit in Africa. You cannot mention all except you mention Rwanda also. Rwanda is becoming beautiful with nicely tarred road. Their president is called Paul Kagame. Yes, Paul Kagame is a very great president who is known for his strong leadership, ambitious visions for the country. Here are some of the key aspects of his presidency. His leadership styles is kind of democracy, but it has a dint of authoritarian or dictatorship in it, which is good for the African. You know, Africa, I would say clearly that it's not all countries that need democracy. Some countries need some kind of dictatorship. Some also need authoritarian rule. In Africa, yes, Africa, we believe in the extended family system, and in such a family, the eldest among the family becomes the champion. Whatever he says, to some extent, holds. Though your views may be solicited, but he climaxed everything. Yes, so that's the style of Kagame's leadership. Kagame has brought about a lot of economic progress in his days, where we experience rapid economic growth, transforming into one of the best fast-growing economies in Africa. The country has made significant strides in infrastructure development, with notable improvement in electrification rate, increasing from 15% to 76% over the decades. Yes, electrification. Ghana, we enjoy electricity. And it's disheartening to know that upon all our natural resources, some African countries still live in darkness. Just imagine some years ago, Rwanda was having just 15% of its landmass, its country living in light, and the remaining 85% living in total darkness. But with the presence of Kagame, it has surged up to 76%. Yes, foreign policies, we may talk about Kagame's foreign policy, which has been assertive, particularly in the Great Lakes region. Rwanda's involvement in the Democratic Republic of Congo has been a point of contention, with Kagame's government supporting the M23 rebel group. This has led to tension with the DRC and international criticism. But you know, this is between brothers, and this has been solved. Yes, this has been solved. And now Congo is on its way to become a free state from all these rebel groups. International relations and other the most domestic policies that Kagame has implemented includes various incentives aimed at promoting social cohesion and economic development. Yes, you see, overall, Kagame's president has been characterized by a mix of this authoritarianism and economic progress and assertive foreign policies. His leadership style has drawn both praise and criticism, reflecting the complexity of Rwanda's development. When you talk about Rwanda, some years back, I tell you, unlike today that we can talk about Seychelles, Mauritius, Ghana, some Nigeria, Burkina Faso, taking over now, making waves. Some years ago, Rwanda became the eye of Africa. We even have them being published on football, like football teams, world-class football teams, like visit Rwanda, visit Rwanda, visit Rwanda. Rwanda has become a very beautiful place that everybody would like to visit. I learned when you go to their capital, I tell you, there are no deaths on the street, no litters on the street. In addition to that, their roads are completely tied. Their roads are built, and Rwanda has become so beautiful, so clean that everybody praises. Had not been recently that I heard about these Congo issues, that's neighbor issue. Yes, we are Africans, that's neighbor issue. You cannot be a neighbor to somebody, and one or two you may not offend a person. But having not been recently, Kagame has done so well for the country. And I pray that whosoever takes over from Kagame, since he has been on the seat since the year 2000 till now 25 years, I pray there will be a transition. It should be so clean and cool, and the leadership style and the development should take another stride, which will be astronomical. Rwanda is a place in Africa that we will all love to visit. Cheers.
Be unconventional in this discussion. You started with a very provocative question, which really was, I think, intended to have us thinking beyond what we are used to. And in this case, I think the panelists have gone along the lines of things we are used to. And I start with the point you made when you were asking the question of preference between the markets and the aid. And I think there was grossing over the problem, and people saying, you see, we need both, and it was as if there was none that was better than the other, and so on and so forth. This is a blunder. Number one, first of all, this question can only be asked in Africa, not in any other region of this world. Which in itself tells you that there is something wrong even with the way people are arguing the case. Because it is now a given that aid and capital markets, are the same. You see, it's not, you can't say you don't need this. I mean, first, aid is more political than anything else. Markets are less political, markets are neutral. Look at the rest of the world. The only thing you're talking about, why you highlight aid, sometimes that to the point that if you say anything about aid, it may be used against you. You see, this is the only place we can be having this conversation. But at the same time, the panelist from Tanzania has made a good point. He illustrated all kinds of wealth lying all over the place from Africa and being recycled to us in the form of aid, and then in the end telling you, you must be humble, you must keep quiet. Don't say some of these things. I mean, what are we talking about here, honestly?
Mr. President, do you want to come take over the moderation, sir?
So, I think I have to come in early a little bit before the others, so that maybe they try and change their arguments a little bit and move in another direction. So, yes, let's not be diplomatic. Let's not gloss over issues. Let's not, markets are markets. We know what they have for us, outweighing what we have in aid by thousands of times, please. So why do we leave something here that we know is more important for us by any measure and account? And then we start saying, no, but let's not even make a comparison. You see, we need both. Could see you are asking questions in a manner that you want to influence the ones listening to us, but that's not correct.
Okay, yeah. I'm raising it once again in the context of the United Nations Development Goals.
No, United Nations is us. You see, United Nations is not something alien somewhere else. Yeah. It's actually us. We participate.
And the framework for this entire development.
And by the way, I had been leading the Millennium Development Goals before Sustainable Development Goals. I was the co-chair of that with other leaders and some of the leaders in Europe. So you don't turn around, it's like you want...
So you believe that there should be scrutiny on human rights in Europe, in Africa,
no,
in
I
all
believe
countries?
that you shouldn't be there belittling Africans or leaders of...
The lead up to the 2017 election that talks about opposition politicians, journalists, human rights defenders being jailed, physically attacked, even killed.
I think you're interested in
forced into exile or silence. So I'm just interested in
I think you're
your
interested in
idea of that assessment of your
raising
country.
your views to the audience so that you influence them by what you're
the European Union sees itself very much as an
answers?
exporter of human rights and a defender of human rights.
So why can't you let me answer this?
I'm very interested in
Otherwise,
your answer.
you are going to ask and then answer yourself.
I'm very interested in your answer. I'm giving you some context on why I'm asking.
You're asking and giving answer at the same time. So
please tell me, what do you make of this assessment?
What is in Rwanda is really hell. In fact, forgetting the hell that we have gone through, that we stood against and sorted out when you were there just talking about more or less nonsense. Because
do you reject the accusations, for example, from Amnesty International?
Absolute rubbish.
You reject
Rwanda is completely different from what it was 25 years ago. In fact, maybe you need to be looking around in Europe. You are violating people's rights. When we have this problem of people being bundled and sent back to sink in the Mediterranean and so on, and so many people being mistreated in your own countries. Why don't you talk about your human rights and stop just offloading everything?
Well, this is a development conversation, so
no,
in the context of development.
You are not the one to determine what conversation or what points to raise in any conversation. You are asking questions, this is what I'm saying, you are asking questions and you are giving yourself answers. You really need to stop this superiority complex nonsense about human rights. You think you are the only ones who respect human rights, or others it's about violating human rights. No, we've fought for human rights and freedoms of our people much better and more than anyone, including you people who keep talking about this nonsense. Where we have taken our country from and where it is now speaks for itself. The rest of the stories just comes from this complex. You know, these two worlds where there are people who know everything about human